Roses, this is Charlotte Rose and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time watching my videos, welcome. And if you're an oldie but goodie, thank you for sticking it out with me, guys. So in this video, I will be making a Christmas tree window curtain, and this is what it will look like when you're done. And what you need for this, you'll need fabric, scissors, pen or pencil pens, and a measuring tape. And you also need paper to make your template. So I'm using this check fabric, this buffalo check fabric, as my primary color for my curtain, and then I will be using that floral print right there for my backing. But I'm gonna make it in a way where you could turn it on both sides. You could just make it to where you only use it on one side, and that red fabric there I'm using for my piping. So guys, if you want to see how I make this, just watch this video to the end and you will learn how to do this. Okay, so let's get started. So this, guys, is an overview of what my Christmas tree curtain is looking like. I did my template off camera because I have no tripod right now, but I will break down the measurements for you. But keep in mind, guys, that these measurements are specific to my window. I did cut my curtain in length from the outer jamb of my window, but if you want to do it from the inner jamb, go right ahead. And each of these segments here are 5 inches down, and I left a pocket at the top so I could sew to put my rod in. Yes, and then from the outer corner to that inner corner there, that is cut in 2 inches, and I put a curve on it, to give it a nice shape. And then in the length from that corner going down, I also curve that. You don't want to leave it straight, it's just gonna look, I just gave it a curve. Okay, it gives it a nice shape, so I curved it and turn it on the little curve right there to meet the inner corner again. And I did that for all the segments going down, so all those little outer flaps are 2 inches. Okay, so from there to that end, that's 4 inches. This one is 8, the other one is 12 inches, 16, and the very last one at the bottom, that's 20 inches. And I did it that way just to get a nice gradual shape coming down, so my curtain will have a nice shape to it. So I'm just gonna cut this out now for you guys, and I'll be right back to show you what it's looking like. I make my curtain as a double-sided curtain, so I could turn it around if I want to, but you definitely don't have to do that if you don't want to go through all that trouble. You could just do it as a one-panel curtain. Use the one side if you want to, but this is just the way I like it, so I use the 2 different fabric, and the red one right here that I use as my piping. But like I said, guys, if you don't want to do that, you could just use one color fabric that's specific to your decor. And yeah, I just want to put that out there that you don't have to double it, is basically what I'm trying to say. Okay, guys? Just a quick tidbit here, guys. So the pieces of fabric on my left are my negative pieces, meaning the pieces that I won't be using for this project, and the pieces on the right are the pieces that I will be using for my Christmas tree curtains. But trust and believe, I won't be wasting the pieces on the left. I will find something to do with it, definitely. We're DIYers, we waste nothing. And this is what it's looking like after I cut. So this is gonna be my primary color that I will be using for this Christmas. And going down the line, I might want to turn it on to the other color on the other side of the curtain. But I really love the buffalo check right now, so that's what I'm working with. So you could already see the Christmas tree shape of the curtains, and I have my pocket rod area up top, and I think the shape is looking nice. So if you want to do this, guys, just follow my measurements or your measurements, and it will be looking perfect. And in this area is where I'm gonna be putting my piping with my red fabric, and that should give it a nice look against my white panel curtain that I will be placing in back of this one. You could also place a green curtain behind this so it really looks like a green Christmas tree. But like I said, it's whatever your decor is, you go with it, okay? So here I'm just showing you how I cut my piping. I prefer to cut my piping on the bias and not on the straight of the fabric. What the bias does when you do cut it on the bias, it helps to stretch that fabric, especially when you have to go around curves and corners and stuff like that. So it's best to cut it on the bias. So the measurements of my strip is 1.5 inches, and this is a yard of fabric if I didn't say so before, but I folded it in half on the bias, and then on my lines here I'm going to place some pins, and also in each of the segments I'm going to place a pin, that way I don't have anything moving around on me, so each time I go back to cut, everything is still in place. So I got all my fabric cut and I ironed my fabric. It just makes it easier when you give it a nice steam press. So I'm gonna place my piping strip onto my cutout Christmas tree shape here, and I stressed in the first part of the video that it's best to use your piping strip on the bias. It just gives it a nice stretch, which helps to go around the corners and all the curves and edges. And I'm just gonna pin that down and making sure you stretch when you get to the edges and the inner corners, so that when you go to sew, it's much easier and already laid out for you. So after pinning, it's at this stage, if you don't want to use your curtain as a two-sided curtain, you could just put your lining on at this point and leave it at that. But for me, I'm using it as a two-sided curtain, so I'm just gonna apply my buffalo check piece onto my piping area there. And I pin all my pieces separately so I could get my piping stripped down accurately before adding my check fabric. So if you are a pro at this, you could pin all the pieces together at once, but just for this video, it's better to pin them separately. You get your piping down better when you do it this way. So I'm just going to continue to do my pinning of this area here. And when you get to the corners and curves, try to get that area accurately, because if you don't, it will be bunched up and you might have to do it over. So to alleviate all that, just try to get it pinned correctly, and then you sew. So see, I turned it over and it's nice and neat. So now I could take my pinned curtains to the sewing machine. So here I have my work pinned with the right sides together, You just want to take your work to the machine and sew. While you're sewing, guys, you could take the pins out. And there's two options here. You could do as I do. When I get to the end, I lift my pressure foot up and turn my work. Then I continue to sew. Or you could sew it all the way to the end, lift your pressure foot up, then start at the other corner. So as you can see, as I'm getting to the end of the work, I lift my pressure foot up, turn my work, then continue. And in that little inner corner there, I put a slit in the fabric so I could have a better ease of turning my work when I'm all done sewing. That way it's not bunched up when you go to turn it over. So just continue sewing, guys. So now that the fun part is over, I am just gonna trim all the areas that need to get trimmed and clip the areas that needs to get clipped, and that will allow little to no bunching when you turn your work over. So in that inner corner and the points right there, you're gonna slit that and you're gonna clip in the inner corners. And like I said, it allows a easier turn with little to no bunching up when you turn your work over. So let's get that done. And you want to do that for all your points and corners going all the way down on your work. You also want to add slits along the long stitch area there, and that allows it to lay flat when you turn it over and iron your work, okay? So after slitting, I am just going to trim off all the excess fabric, and I'm going to do that for all the areas of my work and turn it over, and you should have a nice smooth corner when you turn your work over. So if you turn your work over and it's all bunched up, just turn it back onto the wrong side and give it a small little clip. Be careful not to snip through your area that you already sew. You just want to get it as close as possible to the thread and give it a small little slit. Turn it back out and you should have a nice flat area, and then you could iron that, okay? So this is what your work should look like when you trim and clip in all the right areas, and it should look nice and flat. And then you want to use your iron like I said and just iron that out, and that's what it should be looking like. And you just continue this process with all your other pieces. For me, I had 4 pieces to work with, so I'm just going to continue doing that. So this is what my work is looking like at this point. I am not done sewing. I still have the straight edge to sew down. So I'm just gonna pin that in place and get that area done. This is my very last piece. I've already finished sewing my other 3 pieces, and I am just gonna finish off a straight edge there and add my tabs to the top of my curtain on both sides, and that should be it for all my curtains. So let's jump right into that, and I'll be back to show you my next step. So for this portion of the DIY, I am using my glue gun, and that's just to show you guys you could use your glue gun, which I had said in the beginning of this tutorial. And I am going to be adding my tabs onto both sides of my curtains because I'm using this for a double-sided curtains. But you could go ahead and just do it on one side if you choose to. So I'm gonna use my glue gun, glue that open area closed, and then move on to my tabs, which you will see in a minute how I get that process done, which is basically just to fold your fabric in a long strip, then add it onto your work. But you will see that coming up soon, okay? And I'm using my coordinating fabric, which is my binder fabric, just to give it a nice little look, okay? So with my open area all glued together, this is what your tab should be looking like, just a regular rectangular piece of fabric. So get your work ironed out nice and neat and just glue it in the middle, and that's it. Nice and easy. So with all my tabs glued, I am just gonna cut them in half and place them evenly onto my curtains. At this point, guys, I can't find my measuring tape, so I'm gonna show you a method in the next clip how I get them evenly spaced. If you can't find your measuring tape like I did, I don't know where it went. So this method is just to fold it in half and then in quarter, pin, and go. That's it. And you'll see it coming up how I did it, okay? And you could also eyeball this and get it evenly spaced if you want to. I've done that several times and that too worked out, okay? And you want to repeat the same process on the other side. And I am done with my curtains, and this is what it's looking like when I hung it up in my window. All my curves and points are nice and neat. I am just in love with this. My edges are nice and sewn down. Loving it. So if you guys have gotten to this point, you will see how beautiful this curtain is looking. Please guys, go like, share, and comment on this video. Subscribe to my channel. Definitely hit that notification bell and you will be notified of every single time I put a new video up. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye. And like I said guys, you could put a green curtain behind this just to replicate the color of a Christmas tree. And that definitely will give you a more Christmas look with the green curtain in the back. So try it guys.